Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Iconic R&B group En Vogue electrifies the Birchmere tonight in Alexandria, Virginia. I spoke with the trio about the group's biggest hits, from Free Your Mind to Don't Let Go. We're here with all three members of En Vogue. Hey, thanks so much, all three of you, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us. This is Terry Ellis.
And this is Cindy Herron.
And this is Rhona Bennett.
And we're catching up with all of you en route to the airport at the early crack of dawn for you. It's like 5 in the morning for you. I appreciate you joining us. So how exciting are you to play the Birchmere? Is that where you're hopping on board to fly? Are you flying into DC today? Is that what's going on?
Yep.
Yeah, we're really excited. We love the Birchmere. We always have fun because the audience is intimate. And so, it gives us an opportunity to connect in a different way.
Oh yeah, it's not only is it historic where everybody under the sun has played that place before, but yeah, you're right up. It's intimate. It's a great. There's not a bad seat in the house, really. Where does this fall for you guys? How have you spent the past year and a half? Because everyone's been sidelined, and how exciting is it to finally get back out there and play some live shows again?
It's very exciting, and yeah, for most of the last year and a half, we all were at home, just waiting out the pandemic and the lockdowns. And starting April this year, 2021, we started getting back out little by little and doing shows. So looks like we're in full swing again.
Now, whenever I have a band or a group of your stature on here, I love to find out sort of the origin story. So I knew you were formed in Oakland in 1989, but how did you all actually meet? What was that meetup story? I'm sure you've told it a million times, but let's hear it.
Well, this is Cindy speaking. Terry and I initially met before 1989 through a mutual friend. I went to Richmond, California, which is where the audition was. And Terry flew in from Texas for the audition.
You grew up in California, San Fran, but
yeah.
Terry, you're actually from Texas. So what brought you all the way to California? How did you decide to head out there?
Oh, it was the group. It was to audition for En Vogue. I was actually in a band when Carl Lewis, was endeavoring his singing career. The band that I was singing with locally in Houston was his band, and I was one of the members. And like Cindy said, a mutual friend of ours knew one of the guys that was in the band that I was in, and he asked him if he knew any girls that could sing, because he was telling him about an audition for producers Denzel Foster and Thomas McElroy, who were producers for Club Nouveau, was holding auditions for a girl group. And so my friend said, yeah, I know a girl. She's in my band. And, that's when I met Cindy. And then I flew out to California to audition for the group.
Well, that's wild. You said Carl Lewis. Are we talking about, Olympian hero Carl Lewis? He was trying to do a singing career. A lot of people forget that, in the mid to late 80s, he tried to do the singing thing. But that's a good tie-in. With the Olympics just happened, that's a good tie-in. Wow. So
I know, right?
So the Olympics not only brings the world together, it brings En Vogue together. There you go. Who knew?
Hey, now.
Right.
I love it. All right. Well, take me back to that very first album, because it was pretty much a hit right off the bat. Take me into recording your first hit, Hold On, in 1990. What was it like putting that one together?
Okay. This is Terry speaking. It was amazing. The creative process is always so much fun. But to make a long story short, the producers came up with this idea to do the acapella at the beginning of the song. And when we gave the song to the record company, they didn't like it. They wanted to trash the acapella.
Oh, wow. How
they
dare
didn't
they?
like the acapella because it had never been done before, so they didn't think it would work. Yeah, they actually didn't even think it was a radio single. So radio got a hold of the song and started playing it. And then once the Bay Area started playing it, all the radio stations caught onto it, because people started calling into the radio station asking, what is that? What is that? And then it just took off like lightning.
You were ahead of the game. They said the acapella is never going to work, and then you guys do it, and then I guess Boyz II Men does it after you. You saw the future. They just had to catch up to you.
Right.
So that was obviously the Born to Sing album. So you're on the map. Everybody knows you. And then the next album, Funky Divas, was, I mean, arguably your biggest. Take me into the creation of My Lovin', You're Never Gonna Get It. No, you're never gonna get it. Everybody can. It's still an earworm. It's still in our heads. How is that possible?
I know, right? Well, I think that the thing that also made that a standout song, well, it had a great beat. It was funky. Denzel Foster and Thomas McElroy had, they had the winning combination in terms of being writer-producers. And so they came up with this great song, great, lyrics. And the initial breakdown, now it's time for a breakdown. It was actually something else. So we recorded this other thing. It wasn't an a cappella breakdown. It was like a chant, like we were saying something. And I won't tell you what we were saying, but it was so
what were you saying?
So lame.
No, I need
and
to
when
know
we
it.
listened back the next day, we were like, no, that can't work. So then Denzel Foster came up with the a cappella breakdown. And it kind of had that sort of 40s vibe, 1940s swing vibe to it. And when we sang it, we were like, okay, that's it. That's a keeper.
Yeah, a lot of radio stations thought it was a keeper too, man. Everybody played that. And that same album, Funky Divas, also had Free Your Mind. I feel I can't say that title. I feel like I gotta shout it. Free your mind. So, I mean, that's almost like a call to action as much as it is a song.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we've always felt that, as women, we had something to say. And our producers, thankfully, thank God we had men who were backing that up and encouraging it. And, as Black women, looking at what's going on in our culture, that's been going on forever, we felt like we wanted to translate that message. And we were actually singing about personal experiences with prejudice. So that's how that song came about.
Who came up with that opening line? Prejudice wrote a song about it. Like to hear it? Here it go.
Well, I don't know if you remember In Living Color.
Are you kidding me? Oh, we don't
Do you
play
remember? I can't remember. I forget the character's name.
It was David Allen, but
it was David Allen Greer.
Calhoun Tubbs.
Yeah, okay, that's him. That's him. Well, you know how I used to say he used to connect everything to that little saying.
A song about it.
Like he wrote a song about it. Like here you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, one day when we came to the studio and we were wrapping up the song, our producer said, "What if we say Prejudice wrote a song about it? Like here we go." And we're all characters anyway. We love caricatures and just being quirky and doing things differently. And so we were like, yeah, let's do it. So that's how that happened.
That's such a great story. I'm a huge fan of In Living Color, and of course we all love your music, but I don't know why I never made the connection that's where that line came from. So thank you.
Thank you for asking. You're the first person in 31 years to ask that question.
It'll probably be another 31 before someone else asks it. You have to listen to this interview on the way to the airport at 5 a.m. to hear that. Cool. Continuing chronologically, I gotta ask about What a Man. Salt and Pepper off the Runaway Love album. It was huge at the time, but in hindsight, to look back and realize that you had these two famous acts, En Vogue and Salt and Pepper on the same exact song. That thing is so iconic. Talk about how exciting it was just to work with Salt and Pepper. That is like a dream pairing right there.
Yeah, it was very exciting. We really loved Salt and Pepper. And I don't think anybody was thinking before that song that there would be any way to get a female vocal group and a female rap group together on something. But someone in their camp reached out. I think it was Herbie Lovebug, reached out to our management team and asked if we were interested in doing a song with Salt and Pepper. And of course, we were going to say yes. We love them. So it was very exciting working with them. We had a lot of fun, and the rest is history, I guess.
The rest is history. You were the one that the famous refrain is. You're singing that famous refrain, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Yeah. It was so much fun. It's a lot of girl power on the set.
Yeah, I'd say. All right, well, maybe time for one more song. This one. It's funny. We've named so many hits, so it seems weird to say that this next one might be the biggest, coolest, catchiest song, but it might be. "Don't Let Go" in 1996, off of, I guess it was the EV3. Actually, I think it was on the Set It Off movie soundtrack as well. I even remember my father coming in and being like, "Oh, you gotta listen to this new song." And we're just this white family in like Maryland farmland. And when he comes in, you say, "You gotta hear this new song." So talk about what made that so catchy.
Wow. That's cool. It's such an anthem too.
Yeah.
We loved it when we first heard it. We loved recording it with Organized Noise. They were a great team, very talented, and we were so happy to have a song on the soundtrack of Set It Off. It was a really great, iconic sound, which we didn't know at the time, but it was.
Don't Let Go, as Cindy mentioned, is an anthem. So many people, when we do start that song, there's no need for us to sing because the audience can take it over. And it's a beast all its own. It's so dramatic. I love the way that we're able to have some really creative, instrumental movement with it. The choreography by Frank Gatson, very powerful, to share with the audience. So for me, it's one of our most powerful songs that we perform in the set.
And also, while I have you, Rhona, how exciting was it to join the group? I guess, was it in 2003? I mean, what's it like stepping into, they were a totally established, world-famous group. How welcoming were they? Or you have your sisters on here. I mean, embarrass them with kindness of how great they were.
I like that. I love that. Embarrass them with kindness.
I like that.
Right? That's
there's your next song title. There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
That is actually, you've been doing such a great interview. I think your energy, your questions, the details surrounding how you're digging into the background of this band, I think is really cool.
Thank you. That energy is it's just coffee talking.
Okay. Shout out to the coffee. Okay.
Exactly. Shout out to the coffee. This has been brought to you by K-Cup.
Oh. When I came on board back in the day, I'm really, it definitely surprised me, because I wasn't anticipating being in a group. I always had, aspirations of being a solo artist. But when I did get an opportunity to meet Denzel Foster, one of the, founders of the group, and, he thought enough of me and my work at that point to introduce me to them, it became a thought that I entertained, of course. But going up to, the Bay and meeting Cindy and Terry, it just clicked. There wasn't, for me, much of a moment of even feeling uncomfortable or like this is going to be weird. I don't remember having any other feelings other than stepping in, there being a down to earth energy for me to relate to immediately. They were very open armed and welcoming. I think that their huge respect for Denny and Tommy's musical ability and ear and guidance when it comes to what this band or brand is all about. They trust. And I think that's really awesome because you can see it in the longevity of their relationship and, how these relationships are still close after all these years. So I feel like I just walked into the most welcoming energy. And ever since then, it's pretty much been the same thing. We've been able to build this beautiful bond, and it's been my pleasure and honor to do what I can to keep this brand going and growing.
For sure. Well, that down to earth energy you can hear in this interview. I really, really appreciate everybody joining us. But before we run, I do want to ask about, we've covered, the music career up and down, but you mentioned In Living Color earlier. En Vogue actually has appeared in a couple things on screen. You were able to pivot into TV and movies. And what was it like doing Batman Forever? Any fun stories of, being on set with Val Kilmer or Jim Carrey, any good stories with that?
Well, we're always happy to be on screen because all of us do love acting. But I will, the Batman Forever, it was cool, but it was such a short little cameo. But being on In Living Color to me, was great. Just being there with the cast, very talented cast, and just laughing. They were all so funny. That's a great memory. And to be, in a scene with Jamie Foxx, a very talented Jamie Foxx, but also to see the young Jim Carrey, who's just a phenomenal entertainer and actor, and really the whole cast. They were all very, very talented. So we had a lot of fun, and we were very honored to be on that show. We did a Christmas movie with the three of us, Terry and myself and Rhona.
And David Allen Greer.
Yep, and David Allen Greer.
That's right.
And that's right. On Lifetime, 2015, I think.
What was it called?
It was called En Vogue Christmas.
Oh, well, there you go. Hey, I probably could have guessed that. We did an En Vogue Christmas special. Oh, what was it called? En Vogue Christmas.
We were cracking up so hard with David Allen Greer.
David,
He had so many scenes where we had to force ourselves not to laugh.
Yeah, I mean, I had no idea we'd be talking In Living Color so much during this interview, but it's so true. Like, if there's any young ones listening out here, please go back and watch it. I mean, everyone talks about SNL and everything else, and Chappelle Show, of course, but In Living Color, oh my God, it's so funny. It's so funny.
Yeah.
The way
it's hilarious.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned Jim Carrey with what was it, Fire Marshal Bill? Let me tell you
Oh my
something.
God, yeah.
Oh man, it is
Classics.
just cracking up. And then I guess most recently on that front, Eddie, you were with Eddie Murphy. Didn't you do the Coming to America sequel too?
Yes, it did.
That was really awesome.
And that was really awesome too for us. It was such, to be invited to come back for such an iconic film, part two. It was amazing being on the set. The set design was just awesome. The wardrobe, and then to see the cast members there that day that we saw, it was a dream come true. And so we're really proud to have been invited to be a part of that movie as well, and to re-record "What a Man" and in the new version "What a King."
What a king, what a king.
Right.
Awesome. Well, you guys have been more than generous with your time. I really, really appreciate it. It was a really fun interview. Anything else we should know about the Birchmere show before we run? Why should our listeners come on out to that show if
They
they
should
care
come
about
on out because we need to have a good night of entertainment. They need to come on out, party, and sing along, and they've just been, locked up for far too long, and we need to see them, and they need to see us.
That's right. And we're going to be performing all of our hits from the 90s, and we're going to bring it to the present time.
All the way
we're
up to our Electric Cafe album.
Yeah, some songs from Electric Cafe.
Yes, Electric Cafe was what, 20, what year did that come out?
2018. Yeah.
It feels, I call it the before times. Before the pandemic feels like 20 years ago. It's so bizarre to me. But it was only 3 years ago. So,
Right.
Well, thank you so much for making time for WTOP at this early hour.
Thank you.
Go catch a nap on the way to the airport. I'm on coffee nut, so I'm up. But you guys should go back to sleep.
Yeah, that's where on the plane. Maybe we'll get a little
Yeah,
sleep.
exactly.
I hope so. There's no turbulence.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. En Vogue coming to the Birchmere. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it, Jason. Okay.
Peace.
Thanks so much for joining us on Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Remember to hit the subscribe button and give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time. I wanted to take a second to tell you about an app I really enjoy. Living in the DC area is great, and Podcast DC gathers all of the local shows that I like all in one local app. Health, sports, local news, politics, and so much more. Podcast DC is the new local app with hundreds of DC area podcasts to choose from. I can earn exciting rewards just for listening and share the podcasts I love instantly. Available in the App Store or in Google Play, listen local with Podcast DC.